Hey everybody, I'm Andy, back with another Big League Lawns tutorial video, and today we're going to be doing the Honda HRX installation. This is a very popular machine and we sell a lot of these units, so we wanted to get you guys a really nice walkthrough video to be able to follow along with. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so before we get started, I want to go ahead and go over all of the hardware and the tools that you're going to need to perform the installation. So come on in here and I'll show you these. So your first thing is obviously going to be the CheckMate roller itself. And then moving on, you're going to need a power drill, and you're also going to need a standard 3/8 drill bit inside that power drill. Next thing I got here is our hardware pack. And if I open this up real quick just to show you this, you're going to have your two pre-assembled mounting arms. So you're not going to want to take these apart just yet, leave them together. Also, you're going to have two L brackets, which are going to attach to the channel nuts on the roller. So you'll need those. This is your 7/32 Allen key and your guide washer that'll help with the installation. And then the rest of this hardware here is just going to be able to connect your pivot arms to your L brackets. And so you'll just need to set that aside, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Next, you're going to need a 14mm socket, which is going to help you take off the axle bolt for your wheel, a 9/16 wrench, a 5/8 wrench, and a 3/4 inch wrench. So that's all the tools that you're going to need. Now we can go ahead and get started. First things first, before you get started, you want to grab something that's going to help you safely prop up the mower. I just have this steel bracket here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and lift it up lift up the flap here and slide this underneath, and then you're going to feel a plastic, the back of the deck basically. There's some hard plastic there, and just kind of put that right under that, and just to help prop that up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove this tire. You're going to need your 14mm socket. Just go ahead and put that right on there. And all you got to do, once you get this on here, is just break it loose. And then you can use your fingers to just take it out from there. And now I'm just going to lift up slightly on the mower to remove this tire. And then that bracket is going to support the mower deck. It's going to drop just a little bit because it's not as high, but now if I push on this, it's not going to go anywhere because it is supported by that bracket. So that'll give me room to move and do the installation. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start the installation, and I'm going to show you the mounting location where we're going to be putting this. So it's actually right here. You can kind of see that little hole in there. I've already pre-drilled that. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through how you're going to be doing that. First thing you're going to need is this little bag that you had in your hardware pack that has your Allen key and your guide washer. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to take out that washer from the bag. This washer is actually going to be put right in here, and you can let it kind of drop towards the bottom, and it's going to line up right on this bottom piece of plastic and also this slanted piece of plastic on the inside. So if you push it down this way, it's going to hit both of these. And as soon as you have that centered, you're going to want to use a marker or something to mark that hole. That way you can drill right through that. You can, if you're really skilled, you can try and drill through the washer itself, just like that. But most of the time it's easiest just to use a marker. So once you have that hole lined up and marked, you can actually just take your standard 3/8 drill bit and drill right through the deck. Alright, so now that we have our mounting hole drilled and we're ready to go, one thing I just wanted to do, I know most of you guys won't be able to do this. My mower is brand new, so there's no fluid in it, there's no fuel, so I was able to tip it up on its side. You won't want to do that, just, you don't want to spill any liquids. I just wanted to do this so that I can give you a very clear explanation as to what's happening, and you can view this firsthand to see both sides and see what you're looking for. So, in order to do this, to start, I have my pivot arm that I pulled out of my hardware pack. So I'm just going to take the 3/8 lock nut that's threaded on there, and I'm going to remove that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything else. You don't want to disassemble this. You want to take this full assembly, and you're going to go into that mounting hole. You're going to find that mounting hole, and you're going to kind of you're just going to line the bracket up and get the threads kind of into that hole. And you are going to have to work with this plastic shroud a little bit, but you'll find it. And then over here on the bottom, The easiest way, you just want to go ahead and find those threads and just put that 3/8 lock nut, go ahead and just thread that on there. And once you have that on there, it's really simple. You're going to put your 7/32 hex key up on top and use that to tighten while holding the 3/8 lock nut with your 9/16 wrench on the bottom. So you're going to find that, get that on there, and just go ahead and turn. And your bracket might spin a little bit, but that's okay. You just want to make sure you're turning the bolt onto that. And just go ahead and get that tight. One thing I want you guys to notice while you're tightening this is if you're able to spin this bolt, and you see how this coupler nut in here on the bottom side of the bracket is spinning with that, we don't want that. So what you want to do to alleviate that is use your 5/8 wrench and your 9/16 wrench together. The 9/16 wrench is going to be on your 3/8 lock nut, and the 5/8 wrench is going to go onto the coupler nut. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to tighten the coupler nut to the lock nut on the bottom while still allowing this bolt to be loose enough to the bracket so that this can move up and down, because that's what you want. You want your pivot arm to be able to move up and down so your kit can move. So as long as the coupler nut is very securely fastened to the lock nut underneath, this is going to be tight and your arm is not going to come off, but it's still going to be able to move like it needs to. So now that you've installed the mounting arm and you're ready to go on this side, you can just go ahead and put the tire back on. So I'm just going to take the tire, make sure that the hubcap is on the outside. You're just going to place it right back on the axle there. Just make sure it goes all the way down, because sometimes it can stop right about here. You just kind of wiggle it and it'll pop into place like that. So you'll just put your axle bolt back in there, spin that till it's tight, and then just take your 14mm socket. Just go ahead and give it. It doesn't take much because it's already pretty much locked. You just want to make sure it's nice and tight. Your wheel is still going to spin, and you're good to go. Let's move on to the other side. All right, so now that we've done the first side and we have everything installed ready to go, I went ahead and started on the second side. So as you can see, I've already removed the tire, and then also I drilled my hole at the mounting location in the same place as the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you on this side now, because what we're dealing with here now is we have this transmission. This transmission makes it very hard on this side to install because you have much less room to work with to get that lock nut in there. It's, you know, your fingers are pinched in there, so I want to give you some tips on how to do this side. So the easiest way that we have found here at Big League Lawns is to take a pair of needle nose pliers. What you're going to do is you're going to use the needle nose pliers to pinch the 3/8 lock nut, and you want to line this up with your mounting hole up top. So you'll look down and make sure your lock nut is positioned directly underneath there. So what you can do is just put your mounting arm right into the lock nut. So you want to get that lined up and just kind of make sure your mounting arm can fall right into there. As soon as you get your mounting arm through there, there we go, just like that, you're going to start to thread that into the lock nut. So now that you have the lock nut threaded on just a little bit and it's started on those threads, what you're going to do is you're going to take your 9/16 wrench and just hold that in place, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to tighten it all the way. So take your 5/8 wrench to the coupler nut like we did before, and just go ahead and use the two of these to tighten it down. And then once you have that secured, we can move on. But you want to just get this coupler nut tight to the lock nut in order to secure it firmly to the frame. One final thing here, now that we have it all attached, I just want to show you that this is very firmly, this coupler, if I yank on this, it's not moving, it's secured tightly with the lock nut underneath, so I definitely got it all together. And then this, my pivot arm is actually, look at this, still able to freely move up and down, so that is perfect. That's exactly what you want. You want it nice and tight with your arm able to move. And once again, on this side, once you're done putting your pivot arm on, you've got everything assembled, just go ahead and put the tire back on. So the gear is going to face the inside. Just go ahead and slip it onto the axle there, let it go, and then again, make sure you get that pop sound. So that's all the way on there. Go ahead and put the axle bolt back in there. There it is, it's nice and tight, and then just like I said, one little turn is all it's going to take, and it's on there. And then just make sure it spins. You're good to go, and we'll finish up the installation. Now that we've completed both sides, we have both of our mounting arms installed. They're moving freely, as I mentioned before. We're going to go ahead and put the roller on. Before I do that, I have this paper tube. This is just to help me kind of have a little bit of room to work here. So I'm going to take the bagging flap and just push that up. I'm going to put this paper tube up here and just kind of secure that. So that way I have some room to work with and that's out of my way. So if you want to come up in here, I'm going to show you how to put your arms together, which is very easy. So you're going to need your 3/4 wrench and then all of the hardware that's left over from your hardware pack. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the mounting arm here. We're going to put the L bracket on the inside, just like so. And you're going to line those holes up. Then you're going to take one of your 1/2" bolts here and push that through. And then on the opposite side, you're going to want a 1/2" lock washer and a 1/2" lock nut. And that is as simple as that is. Once you thread that on there, you do both obviously here, do the same thing. Go ahead and attach that just like that. Then you'll do the same thing to the other side. So I've gone ahead and I actually tightened these brackets down. Once you've done both sides, you just tighten them down. What I did was I used 2 3/4" wrenches and just held one side and tightened with the other. You can use whatever you got to be able to do that. Just get those nice and tight and get these brackets together. One thing I did want to show you, if you move in close here, is the amount of space between the bolt head and the tire. So in here, you're going to see there's not a lot of room. There's barely a gap. That's okay. That's what we need. We just need enough of a gap for that button head to clear the tire and allow the tire to spin freely without rubbing on the button head. And you're going to notice there's not a lot of room. You're going to think, you know, obviously that's very close, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's what you're going to see. You're going to have very little room, but it is going to work. That's what you're looking for. So just be aware of that. And then the last step here is going to be attaching the roller itself to your arms on the mower. And that's going to be through this bottom hole of your bracket using these channel nuts. So you're going to notice on the channel, these have been pre-assembled and tightened down just for shipping purposes so that they don't come loose. So you're just going to need to crack that loose with your 3/4" wrench. And then just go ahead and pull this out of here for now. And what you're going to do is just take off the bolt and the lock washer, and you're going to put that through the bottom hole of your L bracket, just like that. And then that is what is actually going to go into your channel nut here. So the channel nut, you're going to just kind of rest it on there, and you're going to want to push it down and turn it into the channel about 90 degrees. And that's how that's going to lock in place. So you can actually move these in here as they need to so that you can line them up with your brackets. So just go ahead and get that in place. And like I said, if you need to move it, do that and line it up with your bolt and use your fingers to just thread that in there. It is kind of tough. You'll want to find where it lines up, and then as soon as you have it lined up, you'll be able to get it threaded in there. And then you'll feel it catch and start to pull the channel right up into the bracket. So go ahead and just do that to both sides and just get those finger tight for now, so then that way we can center the roller behind the mower. So now you can see that I've got both channel nuts in there and they're finger tight right now, and what I've done is I've centered the roller behind the mower. So if you come around here, you can see I have exactly the same amount of space here as I have here. And that just keeps the roller centered and gives you the most accurate and unified stripe that you can get. So now once you have that in place and you have it where you want it, just take your 3/4" wrench and just tighten these channel nut bolts down all the way, and that's going to secure the roller to your arms and it's not going to go anywhere. So that wraps up the actual installation. One thing I want to have you check before you're done and you start mowing is just that this roller here moves up and down, because that's the functionality of the CheckMate. So as you're mowing with your mower and you push down to do your turns, this is going to float up and down as it's supposed to, and it's not going to bind up or get caught or cause you any issues there. You want to make sure this is able just to freely float up and down. And as long as you got that going and nothing's moving, you know, it's all steady, all tight, you're good to go. All right, everybody, so that wraps up yet another CheckMate installation video, this time on the Honda HRX mower. If you guys have any other questions or need tips or anything at all, give us a call. Our number is 800-411-0150, and you can always email us as well at sales@bigleaguelawns.com. Until then, we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.